Good morning, bitches.
All right.
Good morning, bitches.
Hi.
Yeah, I put up social media post saying we would be there in 8 minutes.
I mean,
6 minutes even, and we were there in 14 minutes.
Well, that should be a lesson. Never be specific on social.
Sorry, everybody.
That
would have put us on time. But, yeah, one of our cats woke us up multiple times last night, being a jerk.
I mean, I know that it was mostly Steve's fault, but also I think Frankie was doing a little bit of instigating.
He was. Frankie got a haircut and he's really feeling himself.
Yeah, Steve is very disturbed by it.
Yeah.
He looks amazing, so.
He does. He was in here a minute ago. I might see if I can get him because I feel like a public needs to see him, you know?
Yeah. He's quite beautiful. Except that, like, his belly is kind of hanging out now more than it was. So he looks like he has udders. He looks like a little cow. Still adorable. It was the right thing to do. No regrets. He gets very floofy and uncomfortable in the summer. And now he's all sleek and handsome. Oh, here he comes.
No.
And there he goes. Nope.
That was as much as you were going to get.
Well, you know what? It was worth it.
Straight back in my guitar case.
Yeah.
Please do not comment on that.
Yeah. That would not be nice.
So today we're going to talk about musicals.
Yes.
So we were talking when we were putting together ideas for the shows. Like on Thursday, we're going to talk about 2 records that are sort of thematically linked, but are important to each of us and not the other.
Right.
And I can't remember how this came to mind.
I mean, I think we maybe just decided we should talk about musicals. You know, and a lot of things came to mind. There were a lot of things that I liked musicals. To an extent, I still do. You know, high on my list were Cabaret, of course, but that came to me much later.
Yeah.
I mean, I really loved The Sound of Music.
Interesting. My mom would not let us watch The Sound of Music because she hated it so much.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why people don't like it, but I enjoyed it.
Well, you've witnessed that my family is very, very, very deeply attached to the film Singing in the Rain.
Right. Yeah. But I think we wanted to dive a little deeper into the first major musical that either of us became attached to and try to pick apart why that might be.
Yeah, so the one that I'm going to talk about is Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
And for some reason, the first musical that came across my consciousness was The Phantom of the Opera.
Both Andrew Lloyd Webber. I apologize for how gross my hair is this morning. So I think the reason I thought about it is we were talking about first records and stuff that we owned. First record I owned at all, I was 5 or 6, I think. My parents gave me a Walkman for Christmas, and they gave me the cassette of, I think the record's called Sealed with a Kiss. Jason Donovan was the singer, and he means nothing here. But Jason Donovan, he's Australian, and he was in the daily soap opera Neighbours that everybody loved. And he played Kylie Minogue's boyfriend in Neighbours, because that is where Kylie Minogue also got her start. And they both put their debut records out around the same time. And weirdly, in my playground, you either liked Kylie or you liked Jason. You were not allowed to like both. Mm-hmm. I liked Jason. I thought he was very cute. He had a lot of very hummable, sing-alongable songs. And my parents didn't give me any other cassettes. So I exclusively listened to Jason Donovan's first album for probably a full calendar year. Every day. Mm-hmm. I actually acted it out for my parents at one point. So after he left Neighbours, I think maybe he just took a sabbatical, he starred in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat in the West End of London. And that was huge. And
I mean, that's kind of like the role, I think, to be a like pop, like a kind of squeaky clean pop
yeah,
icon of the time, because we also discovered that that was a big role for Donny Osmond here,
yes,
who was, I think, an equivalent of Jason Donovan.
maybe
in a way.
similar like sappy, clean cut.
Yes.
Your mom and small children like him. So I had the soundtrack cast recording of that, but I didn't have it. I had it taped from somebody. I don't think I ever had an actual legit cassette of that. And that was my second cassette that I owned. And I loved it so much. And I would, when friends came over to play, I would make us play Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And we would basically act out the entire musical. I would be Joseph, obviously. And whoever unfortunate child who was at my house had to play absolutely everyone else. And I was doing a little bit of reading about this because this musical was ubiquitous when I was a kid. Like, there was this huge West End production, started with Jason Donovan, but several other, like there was a TV presenter, Toby Anstis did it for a while, like a few other young squeaky clean gentlemen played it after Jason. It ran for quite a long time. It toured. We saw a touring version of it in my hometown. I don't think anybody of note was playing Joseph. But also it was, if not the first Andrew Lloyd Webber, Tim Rice musical, it was the first one that had any success. And what they did was they, alongside the like big blockbuster West End version, they also created a truncated version specifically to be performed in schools. So they like made the score for just piano, and probably took a couple of the racier moments out. I don't know. It's not that racy at the best of times. But as a consequence, my primary school, which is like 5 to 11, did productions of it with the 11-year-olds all the time. And my high school did a production of it while I was at high school as well. I was in the band for that.
So I feel like this could have gone either way. With something that's like, there's that much oversaturation of one thing, you could either absolutely hate it or really, really love it. Like, what do you think it was about this particular musical that captured your imagination, that you went on the side of like being super into it?
Well, it was really a moment in time, because I think by the time it happened in high school, I was not psyched about it. So I think it really appealed to me as a small child. And I honestly think Jason Donovan was a really big part of it, because I did love him.
Fair.
But it also, like, you know, it's a biblical story that we maybe had heard in church before. Like, we were aware of it. A lot of things happen. It's quite musically varied, which I think, I mean, not in a good way that it's basically parody, but there's calypso-y bits in it, and there's like a French song for no reason, and like a lot of things happen to keep you interested. I think that might have been a big factor, actually, that it wasn't boring. And it also isn't a love story. And I think that actually, as a 5-year-old, was probably more engaging. Like, Phantom of the Opera is this big, weird love story.
Yeah,
and I didn't like it.
I mean, well, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I mean, I would just say that it was also the only one that I got into. I had friends who were like, because Andrew Lloyd Webber was fucking everywhere when we were kids, and I think I thought that musicals were invented by him, and all musicals were by Andrew Lloyd Webber, basically. But I was never interested in any of the others. I had friends who got into Cats. That was not for me. Those people are freaky.
Yeah, I also was not into Cats.
Starlight Express was a big one, and I do appreciate that people on roller skates is exciting. But it was also like Jason was Joseph was the only one that I think traveled, and my parents did not have the money to take us to London, and if they did, they wouldn't want to go and see fucking Phantom of the Opera. So it's also the only one that I saw in real life, which I think might have been a factor as well. But yeah, I never got into Phantom of the Opera. I was aware of like the song,
Yes.
because everybody sang it as cool. The kids that liked it would not shut up about it. You know?
I think so. My journey with Phantom of the Opera started on. I mean, I had been exposed to musicals for a very long time. My nanny, my grandma, was very into theater and music, and also all Disney films are musicals, which is a thing that did not dawn upon me until years later. Even though they were all song based, just like the concept of a musical and the concept of a Disney film were very different things for me for a long time. But after I had aged out of Girl Scout camp, because I spent almost all of my summers at Girl Scout camp until I couldn't go anymore when I was like 13 or 14, my mom had to do something with me for the summer. So I went to Montana to spend a couple of weeks with some cousins who were in the middle of moving from Montana to Colorado. So there was a Montana to Colorado road trip involved in this vacation. And on that road trip, I had a Walkman and 2 cassette tapes. One of them was Aerosmith's Permanent Vacation, and the other one was the Phantom of the Opera soundtrack. And I listened to both of those over and over and over and over and over again. But like, I really loved the Phantom of the Opera soundtrack and just listening to it because it was this big, immersive, weird, dark world. I was also very much on the edge of a goth phase. So I think this was also around the time when I had potentially read my first Anne Rice book. I was also probably heavily into what we would now call X-Files fan fiction.
Writing or consuming?
Just reading, because there were like the shitty paperbacks that were like big X-Files episodes, but they were like a book you would just, some random person was like.
I mean, I submitted what we would now call X-Files fan art for grades in art class.
See? So it
multimedia X-Files.
Right. Incredible. So yeah, the Phantom of the Opera soundtrack, it really, and I did get to see it eventually, although my memory of seeing the production are not nearly as strong as like my memory of what that production looked like in my head when I was on this like super weird road trip with this like contingent of my family that I had very little connection to. And I just found it like spooky and compelling, and like, you know, I identified with the character, the Phantom character being, brilliant and talented, but like ugly, and nobody loved him, but someone would find him in a basement and appreciate his talent and whatever. Like, I felt that as a chubby young preteen.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, there was something about that the misfitness of the Phantom, the tortured brilliance, like that kind of a thing. I really appreciated that, and especially also being very much the outcast of this family contingent. I was like, I just don't know what this world is. I don't know who these people are. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna sit in the back of this minivan with Aerosmith and the Phantom of the Opera and just live in this world, and it got me through.
Nice.
So that I think about sums up my experience with the Phantom. Although when we were picking songs for the playlist. And going back through it, because, as we will plug, there is a playlist for this season of Good Morning Bitches that includes many of the songs that we will be referencing throughout these episodes. I was really like trying to reimagine myself sitting in a van with headphones on, like absolutely enraptured with this. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I had a similar thing when I was like, I'll pick a song from the Joseph soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because I also initially didn't listen to the Jason Donovan one. Like, there's multiple soundtracks. The Jason Donovan one had a little bit more 80s production to it.
Yeah.
Gave it a little bit of a kick up the ass, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Well, like, the big song that I remember is Any Dream Will Do, because they come back to it. I think that's why.
Well, we should I have to be.
Oh yeah, you have to be in a
3
meeting.
minutes.
All right, I'm gonna shut up about. You should look up Jason Donovan.
You should look up
He's
Aerosmith's
actually,
Permanent
like-
Vacation.
He's actually like pretty definitively a garbage person.
Oh,
He's a very
it happens.
confusing. He's a very confusing person. The Face magazine no longer exists because he sued them for suggesting he might be gay,
Mm-hmm.
and then went on to star in the West End production of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which doesn't necessarily mean he's gay either, but it does. It's just
It
like,
definitely proves he's not gay.
I don't know. It's just sending a very weird message to the world. Yeah.
All right. Well, we will be back on Tuesday,
Mhm.
where we will be discussing. Do we know?
The
Notebook.
What are we discussing? Well, I don't know what the Notebook is.
Oh, well, we'll post about it. Some other thing that we both
I think
loved.
it might be Miseducation of Lion.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Mhm.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah. This is a song that isn't really like a musical song,
No.
but
It's a bit thematic.
yeah.
Yes.
Let them say what they wanna say about you. Let them say what they wanna say all day. Pay them bitches no mind, 'cause you know it's your time. When the lights are low and they all run to hide from you. And you know it's true, and that belongs to the ones they shun when the morning comes. And that's you, and that's you. People say what they say 'cause they don't know you. People say what they say 'cause they're afraid. Pay them bitches no mind. You catch them some of the time. When the lights are low and they all run to hide from you. And you know it's true, that belongs to the ones they shun when the morning comes. And that's you, and you know it's true, and that belongs to the ones they shun when the morning comes. And that's you, and that's you, and that's you, and that's you. All right.
Woo.
Have a good weekend.
We will see you next week.
Bye.